Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast, a 30-minute mini version of the In Wheel Time car show that airs live every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Celebrating 10 years of award-winning car talk, it's the In Wheel Time car show.
Spit it out. Spit it out.
Oh my gosh, your weekly go-to all things automotive place today. Coming to you from Studio A in Texas, USA. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong, and Jeff Zekin, I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today, and thank you very much. Well, I'll tell you what, I woke up this morning, my sinuses were pouring. I don't know what happened last night. I went to a restaurant, had some Mexican food with Jeff and Kathy Zekin.
I'll put my mask on.
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, it was like, whoosh, I had no clue. It was bad.
There's this little front coming through doing things.
Well, I think it's the pollen in the air.
Gee, I thought it was the tequila.
And it could, and mixed with the tequila. There was a little bit of a, never mind.
Tequila won't fix everything, but it's worth a shot.
Worth a few shots.
I like that.
There you go.
So I promised that we would, because we ran a little bit over last half hour, that we would do the racing calendar. And I have first up
Tonight
at Houston Motorsports Park.
Be there.
It's the Gulf Coast Racing Series Spring Speed Fest presented by Advance Auto Parts. Gates open at 5. Racing begins at 6:10 p.m. It includes pro trucks, modifieds, outlaws, eco-stocks, super stocks, NASCARts, and legacies. Tickets, $15 for adults, $5 for kids, vets, also $5 as well as seniors, hot dogs for $1, and beers for $1. Okay.
Sweet.
Well worth the trip. It's NASCAR in Houston. It's a great value. You need to go out there. It's real easy to get to out off of Beltway 8.
Great venue.
Support local racing, circle track racing.
So NASCAR's taking the weekend off, and next weekend they'll be at Martinsville Saturday night. And then the weekend after that, on the 18th, they'll be at Richmond. And then on the 24th, they'll be at Talladega, which tends to be a fun race to watch. But,
especially at the end.
Yeah, especially at the end. They come to Circuit of the Americas May 23rd, so that'll also be a great race to go to. IndyCar is going to start up on the 16th of April with the Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. And then NHRA comes back. Their schedule was kind of a mess.
Wonky.
So they come back in 2 weeks for the four-wide nationals in Las Vegas. And then on May 2nd, they're going to have the Southern Nationals in Atlanta. So, and I think that's going to be the final race in Atlanta, if I remember correctly.
Yes. And then they're coming into Houston.
Yes.
For the Spring Nationals.
That's right. That's May 21st through the 23rd.
And we will be there.
We will be there. And come on out and say hi. And then Formula One's, they had their first race last weekend. Their next one is going to be the 18th in Romania.
Are we going to be there?
Romania.
Yeah,
We're not going to be there?
I don't think so. Not this time.
Okay.
So that's all the local and national racing news.
Local.
But we have more racing news to talk about.
More racing.
Well, I think there's a few Wallies involved. I wonder if we'll see the dancing Wallies.
I want to see the moving
this
Wallies.
time,
So let's go down to the Dancing Wally headquarters down right off the Gulf Freeway and speak with Mr. Gary Emmons with the Emmons Motorplex. Howdy, sir. I don't know why you got. Hey
guys, how are y'all doing?
Well, we're doing very well. We don't know why you got dressed up on. Oh, it's because you got customers in the showroom, not because of us. Well, darn. I just thought you got dressed up because of us.
No, I'm celebrating you guys 10 years doing such a phenomenal job. So I thought, why not dress for the occasion?
Well, thank you very much.
Yes. We all did.
Yeah, he even looks good at the drag strip. And speaking of drag strips, I assume that you're going to have the full. I was going to say the full Monty, but that would be the wrong.
No.
That would be the wrong thing to say.
Please don't.
It would be the full tilt of the Emmons Brothers racing phenomenon that goes on in Baytown at least once or twice a year.
We certainly will. Next weekend we have our second Lucas Oil Divisional Series race that will be held out at Baytown. So we'll have all of our cars there. And one thing that's very exciting for us this year is my 20-year-old nephew, Will, who's the son of our older brother, Speedy. he's actually competing in stock eliminator this year. So he's driving one of our big block 69 Camaros. So we are really excited to have him with us.
That is absolutely awesome. So
They're adding to the family.
There you go.
Yeah. So it looks like the Emmons brothers are going to have the continuation of a great racing team going forward, kind of like the Coughlins and all of the other great racing names in NHRA.
I certainly hope so. One of the biggest things that my dad really enjoyed about racing was not just the cars and the performance and the winning, but he liked the fact that his entire family was together week in and week out. So to have Will join us this season, and for what we hope to be many more down the road, it's going to be something special for all of us.
Yeah. And what young man doesn't want to sit behind the wheel of a big block Camaro?
Really?
Especially 1969 big block Camaro.
Exactly. Yeah. Don will be out there trying to get in behind the 69.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
kinda,
I've got a thing for 69 Camaros. I don't know what it is, but it's.
I think everybody does.
Yeah.
I think everybody does.
Yep. So, how are things going in the racing world with the Emmons brothers so far this year?
So we've been to one Lucas Oil Series event this season, and our brother Speedy, who's actually back after a 4-year hiatus, made it to the final round before he was defeated. But hey, what a way to make a comeback! Yeah. First race in 4 years and gets right to the final round.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 cars now that just finished up their wraps from Lucas Oil Products on Easter Sunday. So not only tomorrow are we going to be enjoying an Easter lunch, but we're going to spend the remaining half of the day getting the cars put all back together for the event this weekend.
That sounds like 2 tons of fun in my world. Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk about the used car lot, if you will.
Autoplex.
You didn't let me finish again. Conrad's one of those kind of guys that likes to finish my sentences, and
it's like being married.
I can see what he's thinking.
Yeah, and so he does that quite frequently. So I was going to say it isn't actually a used car lot. I mean, this is a megaplex down there in a beautiful facility right off the Gulf Freeway, and we call because we want to know about the pre-owned market, if you will. I know the last time we talked, you were keeping your head above water, but the inventory was a problem trying to keep up with the inventory on the lot because cars were flying off the shelves down there.
They were, and luckily, there's 4 brothers that really run the dealership, myself being one of the 4. Well, 3 of them are tasked with the responsibility of purchasing inventory for the dealership. And prior to March, we had just a little bit over 750 vehicles in inventory. So that set us up for what ended up being a record-setting March. We finished, I believe the final count was 408 retail vehicles being sold. So that doesn't count what we wholesaled at the auction. What we retailed was 408.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys you're an independent dealer. You're not part of a network, are you?
No. This is solely the Emmons brothers collaboration of events, and
it's a family-owned
all the
operation.
Years.
Yeah.
And how is used car values working as new cars are struggling because they can't get inventory with Chevrolet, Ford, and a lot of other manufacturers are down on production because they can't get chips to get their cars running? Is that helping used car valuations?
Like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
If the old days, people try to buy vehicles based on book values, even dealers, they go to the auction. If you try to buy a vehicle today in today's market based off of book value, you will leave the auction with zero inventory.
Yeah, you'd be happy to buy them at book value today.
Oh, the book just goes right out the window. Just for an example, 2019, this week, it sold this week at the auction, 2019 Chevy Corvette. It was a ZR1. Now it had 5,000 miles, so obviously it's a Corvette. It's a special one, right?
Right.
Sticker, MSRP on that car when it was new was $133. It sold for $149 at the auction.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh! It's kind of like the housing community and what's going on with that. I mean, it's off the charts.
Well, think about it. It's sold in a wholesaler's auction, so by the time it turns around to retail, it's going to sell at a price above that.
Oh, yeah. It's just incredible what these values are, and just everything. You know, having so much inventory, we have just about anything you could possibly want. And it's kind of interesting. I'll look at the end of the night and look on the sales report list just to see if I can see a trend of what's selling.
Right.
I mean, there's not a trend. It's everything. But it's got to be something special. You know, it can't be kind of like a Hertz rent-a-car type inventory piece. It needs to be, you know, leather roof nav, windows, locks, wheels, that kind of thing.
Right. The more upscale cars, because that's what people expect, especially, in my estimation, in the pre-owned market. If I'm going to buy a pre-owned car, I'm willing to pay more for the pre-owned car, but it's still going to be cheaper than buying a new car. So why not go for the gold?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we all know how the prices of trucks and SUVs have escalated over the years, especially now what it would cost to buy, a new Escalade. Don, you did a review on a 2021 last week, and we all know how much over sticker those are selling for if you wanted to buy a new one.
Right.
So then I heard there was a 6-month waiting list on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and that doesn't surprise me. Have you seen one? Have you driven one yet?
I have not.
I'll tell you what. When you drive one of those, or even the Chevy Tahoe. Oh my gosh, it's a new world altogether when it comes to those vehicles.
That's a beautiful vehicle. I rode in that.
The ride in that thing with that independent rear suspension, it changed the whole game.
Sure.
So Gary, let me ask you. We were talking to Jim Morrison with Jeep a few minutes ago. How about Jeeps? How are the Jeep Wranglers and Gladiators and stuff working for you?
Oh my gosh, those things are just. I was just telling one of my brothers last night when we were leaving that I don't believe there is a day that goes by that we don't sell a Jeep Wrangler. And I'm saying just one, but we sell multiples. We have the largest selection of pre-owned Jeeps in the entire Houston area. So we have stock Jeeps, we have lifted Jeeps. It's just such an incredible diversity of people's preferences, really. I mean, you get some with lifts and wheels and light bars and just all kinds of really cool stuff on them.
And spring's coming up. People are wanting to get out and about. I bet that's what makes me want a Jeep. I want the doors off of it. I want to be out and about.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So where are things looking? Would you brothers sit down quite frequently together and talk about the pre-owned business?
Where the market's moving.
Yeah, and you know what you've done in the past, and I know that there's got to be talk about, okay, well, this worked last month, and this is the way things are kind of trending. Let's see if we can buy some of these vehicles. I mean, what is the conversation like?
So it's interesting that you even asked that question, because there's no... In terms of a business plan, our business plan is something we've just developed over the years. It's kind of what we feel like the market's doing, right? If we see inventory, we'll take risks, certainly, right? But if it's loaded with options and has good mileage, we're buying it. I'm not a real big fan of German cars. We carry them because there's a market for them. But when you sell those things and they're outside of the manufacturer warranty, the extended service contracts get quite pricey. Yeah. And that makes it a little tough on the consumer. However, every week we look at the run sheets of what's available to be purchased. And if it's loaded with options and good miles, we're going to buy it. Or at least we're going to do everything we can to acquire it for the inventory.
You're try, yeah.
So how far out will you go to an auction as far as time and distance?
We don't really have – the only thing – that we have as a disqualifier for us is anything north, in the States where you get a lot of rust and have to buy something that it may have 30 or 40,000 miles on it, but it'd have a lot of corrosion underneath. We try to stay away from stuff like that.
Well, that's just smart because your customers are going to notice that pretty quickly, and you don't need that kind of.
A touch over 95% of our business is done off the internet.
Wow. Either a lead
you do
or
have a small. Right. You do have a small percentage that will actually see us driving by on the way to work or to an event and just come in when it's time to buy a car. But 95, 96% are all generated off of the internet ad that they saw somewhere online.
And you as a dealer have quite an investment in that online presence, because it's not just a matter of buying a car and snapping a Polaroid to put it online. You've got some kind of a photographer. You have a photo station that the cars are all staged in. And then you have somebody who has to basically work the internet for putting the vehicle up and then work the internet to take the leads that come in off the internet. It's a complex process.
It is. There's a lot of moving parts to make this work. We take a lot of pride in the photographs that we take. You see some dealerships with the photographs. I mean, they're just horrible. Mm-hmm. And, I guess they sell cars. I guess their consumers buy them. But, we want to do the very best we can to represent the type of inventory we have and it be an accurate depiction of what's here when you arrive.
Well, and that goes back to what you talked about, the condition reporting that you do online versus the condition reporting you might see from other auction sites that you're going to buy for. The higher quality you're delivering to your customers, the more word of mouth is going to happen that's going to gain you more customers.
That's right. One thing I tell all of our sales team here is be extremely transparent with your customers. A lot of people are driving, forget the ones that are coming in a couple hours away, even the guys that are going to, and ladies that will drive in 30 minutes across town. No one wants to waste their time. So, walk out to the car, put your hands on it. If you see anything that you think that might be of concern, take a picture of it, text it over to the consumer that's looking at the vehicle, and just be very transparent up front. No one likes surprises. I don't like them, and I certainly don't want my customers to have to endure that.
And do you find a lot of the business you're doing, are you taking trades in on the new one, or are they just coming by and direct and not engaging on a trade in? No,
we have quite a big percentage of trade-ins here at the dealership. I think people, after about 3 years with a used car, sometimes 2.5, I think they're tired of it. I think they're ready to get something else. And that's generally what we see. Even if they didn't buy it from us, typically when you go back and do the research, they've owned it for probably 3 years is the average, and they'll turn it in and trade it in.
I got a daughter that she's going to turn it every 2 years. If she's lucky, her husband gets so mad because she's going to turn that car over every 2 years no matter what.
Well, you need to send them out to the Emmons Autoplex.
Oh, I have. I've told her to check online before she goes again.
That's right.
So
go ahead, Don.
No, go ahead. No, it's your turn.
Well, so, there's a lot of competition, obviously, with online sales. So what was the old slogan years ago? Price sells cars, right? Well, it does at least grab your attention initially. But you better have the product when the customer gets to the dealership. And we take a lot of pride in the fact that our reconditioning, we try to buy very, very nice cars to begin with. And we are very particular. If a car comes in with a little curb rash on a wheel, or if it has a little bit of, those bug guts on the front bumpers, most people won't even address those items. We'll remove the bumper, respray the bumper, we'll fix the curb rash on the wheels, make sure the car has good tires on it. So many things that happen behind the scenes that consumers just don't even process or factor into the equation when they're buying a pre-owned car. There's a lot of work that goes into making a car frontline ready where it's dependable and reliable for your consumer, and we take a lot of pride in that.
And that's one of the things about your Autoplex that a lot of people don't necessarily know is you're not just a used car operation. You have a full operating service department, body shop, and all of the rest of that behind the building, where most other used car operations, all they do is sell cars, and then all the rest is handled by somebody else off property.
That's right. It takes all four of us to make this dealership work to the level that it does. And, we've actually have one back corner piece of property still undeveloped. And our plan for that is to actually make a bigger service department. And, we see the need for it. There's a lot of consumers that we'd love to get in because they're just, they've had a mechanic for 20 years, 25 years, and they trust them. And then all of a sudden they realize that guy wasn't so trustworthy after all. And we're just here to treat the customers fairly, and so many times I don't understand how people can price gouge customers, whether it's in anything, right? But in our industry, I see a lot of that on the mechanical side and on the body shop side of it. So we're going to, we have the customer base.
Right.
We're going to try to actually incorporate that into our daily regime as well.
Yeah, you got 400 plus of them in March.
Yeah, and I think it's great that you consider it a dealership. You look at it differently. It's not a used car lot like Don said. It is a dealership. You've got a different mentality about how to deal with the customers and the kind of service you're going to provide. And I think that's wonderful.
Gary, it's great to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's you're looking sharp, my friend. Let me just put it that way.
And I'll dress that for us.
And look at that smile. So we're going to see you at the racetrack and all of your throng of fans out there for the Emmons Brothers Racing Tribe. So, again, thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon.
Well, thank you, guys. I really appreciate all that you guys do. I love the dynamic between all of you guys. And poor Jeff, he never gets any camera time or very little. So I
love you, man. I tell you what, I'm going to come see you this week, and I'm going to make a selection out of your pre-owned inventory for next week's vehicle. How's that?
That's awesome. I'll glad to have you here.
All right. We'll look forward to seeing you.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, you can get hold of Gary down there at Emmons Autoplex. They're at 1423 FM 528 in Webster, Texas, right off the Gulf Freeway.
And I just linked him on our Facebook page.
Very nice. All right, time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. What are we going to talk about today on the clinic?
Well, last week we talked a little bit about air conditioning service, and this is kind of the time of season you want to make sure you're servicing the air conditioning.
Or if it's been dormant all winter long and didn't work at last fall, now's the time to bring it. Yes, you are.
Well, many car owners are pretty vigilant about regular maintenance as far as oil changes, tire rotations, brake pad replacements, all of those things. But you've also got to make sure you're paying attention to the climate control system in your vehicle, because if you're not doing something about it, you can get those funky smells out of it. You get the little bit of the burning eyes, especially as you first start the car up. And a lot of times that's caused by mold and mildew that builds up inside of the air conditioning evaporator case.
Or if Don Armstrong's been in the car.
Or if Don Armstrong has been in the car just before the show. Over the course of a single year, the climate control systems accumulate moisture, debris, mold, bacteria, mildew, and that all kind of grows inside that dark, damp air conditioning evaporator case. And that buildup of these contaminants, you want to make sure that you're in the springtime, you're doing something to kill all that mold, mildew, bacteria, and putting some kind of a viricide, antibacterial product in there. Over time, those conditions also can grow kind of mold on your cabin air filter. So you want to start your season off, replace the cabin air filter, remove all that debris that gets on top of the windshield vent right there in the front of the passenger side, all the leaves, all the pine pollen and stuff. Get all that out of there, and then replace the cabin air filter, spray or put a cleaner inside the evaporator case to kill all that mold and mildew that grows. You want to use
I wouldn't. I was expecting you to ask that.
Oh,
and
you want to use? He was expecting me to ask that. Though. That was pretty good.
I don't know how.
So you want to use it? You want to use an EPA and USA accepted disinfectant, deodorizer, and sanitizer. You can be confident that you can find hospital grade disinfectants out there that'll kill germs and deal with some of the viruses that are out there. And you can get an AC cleaning service that's going to fill up the evaporator case with a foam that has all of those agents in it to kill all the mold and mildew and bacteria that eventually will just drain out of the AC vent as well. And you want to do that because if you're not doing that, breathing that kind of stuff all the time can lead to allergies, sicknesses, and the rest. So you want to get ahead of that. If you've got asthma, emphysema, COPD, doing a service like that can prevent them from causing you more damage in the future. So safe tip is take out your old cabin air filter, clean it, spray a disinfectant in there, and start the season correctly.
Thank you, sir. A couple of headlines before we get to the top of the hour here. Ford Motor Company has temporarily stopped selling its home electric vehicle chargers and is directing dealers to third-party sites such as Amazon for generic versions of a key accessory as sales of its Mustang Mach-E ramp up. Automaker issued a stop sale for the $800 Ford-branded wall boxes on February 24th after it discovered some weren't working properly.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a thermal event.
Well, I was
waiting for it.
I was too. It didn't say that in this particular story, but I'm sure that there were a sum.
Well, either that or it's just not getting their vehicle charged, and then,
it's a mess.
Yeah.
So go buy it elsewhere. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Sorry. I
had to clear his
had a
throat.
bug in my throat.
Said on Monday the White House will not propose hiking gasoline taxes or a new vehicle miles traveled fee to pay for a proposal to massively boost infrastructure spending. Congress has not boosted the 18.4-cent gasoline tax since 1993, and there's reason, if none other, than to boost the tax.
That's right. Well, it's not about...
What is this thinking about? Well, it's been 18 cents since 19... Well, we need to make more money, so let's boost the tax. Why?
It's never about the government doesn't have enough money. It's always about the government doesn't know how to slow their spending down.
Different show.
Hey, more than 65,000 vehicles from 6 automakers were added to the Auto Forecast Solutions weekly tally of vehicles that have been taken out of North American production schedules. They include 35,000 vehicles from Stellantis, including Pacifica Voyager, Cherokee, and Ram. 10,300 vehicles from Ram alone because they can't find chips.
It's getting chippy.
General Motors, 13,000 vehicles. Volkswagen, 11,000 vehicles. Toyota, 1,400. And Ford, 1,000 so far. So if you're in the market for a brand new car, hurry, because they're all going to go, we're out of inventory. All right. Well, that is it for this hour of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Hour number 3 starts right after this.
The Tailpipes and Tacos monthly cruise-in has become so popular, you'll be able to attend at more locations. Enjoy fabulous Houston car culture at any of the 4 participating Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex restaurants. Tailpipes and Tacos will be held in Tomball at Highway 249 near 2978, Bay Area Boulevard near the Gulf Freeway in Webster, the Grand Parkway just south of I-10 and Katy, and the Kirby location off the Southwest Freeway. Tailpipes and Tacos is the place to enjoy made-to-order breakfast tacos, fresh coffee, and awesome cars. Mark your calendar for Saturday, April 17th for the next Tailpipes and Tacos at one of the 4 participating Lupi Tortilla Mexican restaurants, 8 to 11 a.m. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. See collector cars, hot rods, customs, originals, and resto mods. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in this friends and family event. Start your Saturday off right at Houston's hottest cruise in. Tailpipes and Tacos, April 17th, 8 to 11 a.m. Participating Lupis are located in Tomball, Katy, West University, and Clear Lake. April 17th, In Real Time will be broadcasting from the West University location on the Southwest Freeway, weather permitting. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning, 8 to 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.